I'm often asked, is it a good time to buy real estate? Or even, should I get real estate? Because I think it's a bad time. The interest rates are too high. I can't afford to get a house. Or this is the one that I think is really clever. I'm just going to wait it out until the market gets more stable. And the market's pretty stable right now. I know you might not want to agree, but it's pretty stable right now. So I just want to take a few minutes to discuss why it's stable and help you get on board with why, even if you own a home right now, this might be the right time to go forward with your plans to move up, move down, or downsize, or right size, if you will. So basically, we're going to have to talk just a little bit about the fluctuation that occurs in real estate. It's very normal. It's been happening since real estate was a thing, since it was actually called real estate. But we will have the knowledge of the Great Depression. The Great Depression. I'm going to talk just a little bit about that today as I give some personal testimony about how I personally became a realtor and associate broker of real estate and now investor. So, my very first house that I purchased was not because I knew anything about real estate. It wasn't because I was so smart or anything like that. It was basically because my family lived in houses that we owned. We didn't believe, or I should say, as far as I knew, we didn't believe in renting. And it was about ownership. That's what I knew. That's what I knew. So when I was an adult, I bought a house. It was the next phase of what you do when you're grown. You buy a house. And I lived in that house for about 8 years. And then it was a different community, a different neighborhood, sort of from when I first bought into it. And I thought I probably should move. So that's what I did. I looked at buying something that was a little bit more to my liking, and my financial ability said, you can do it. Fearfully, yeah, I was pretty scared, but I did. And when I made that decision to buy the next house, I actually sold it, paid off all of my student loans. In fact, I became debt free at the time, and I had about 30,000 something plus or minus to put toward the down payment on my next house. And that actually felt pretty good. Now, when I got into the next house, sitting at the closing table, I was a ball of mess. I was crying profusely, like a baby for the most part, I would say, because of the fear. I actually had fear that I was going to crumble or stumble or fall or choke on a chicken bone. I don't know, but I was crying like I was just, it was ridiculous. It was sad. But I lived in that house for 20 years before, or actually more than 20 years before I bought the next one. And so that, the point that I wanted to really share and bring forward is that I paid off all of my loans debt free and had the money to go into with a nice down payment on the next house, over $30,000. So yeah, I felt pretty proud of myself. I did. But that's the opportunities that are available to you when you become a homeowner, is that you can start to pay off debts and you accumulate through the equity an opportunity to become wealthy. In fact, a great number of people who were actually considered rich became rich through real estate. That's what I want to share with you. Now, I told you I was going to talk about the Great Depression just a little bit. The Great Depression happened back in 1930-ish, plus or minus, somewhere around that time. And the cause of, or the immediate catalyst, if you will, for the Great Depression was actually loans. They were called LIBOR loans, LIBOR, so that you can check me. They were LIBOR loans, and what we call LIBOR loans now is actually interest only. And that is the same thing that caused the mortgage crash of 2007. And we felt it a whole lot more in 2008. We're not having those loans right now. And, a very select small grouping of people are able to use those loans right now. They're just not being offered to the average consumer because it is such a problem. It was the cause of the Great Depression, and it was also the same cause of the real estate crash that we experienced back in 2007. Now, because we still have that in our minds and it's so prevalent, I do hear a lot of people saying that this market is not stable only because we saw such a great increase in the values and the equities of properties from 2019 to now. So many people are expecting a big crash, and I don't see one coming. I don't think it's going to happen because history tends to repeat itself. And what we saw in 2007 was a repetition of 1938. Here's an example that you can compare what I'm saying to. We had a great plague in 1920, and then fast forward in 2020, we had a great plague again. Now, if you go back to 1820-ish, somewhere in there, you'll find that we had another plague. And I'm saying all of this so that you can realize that, yes, we are going to have a real estate crash somewhere in the future, but it's not going to be when you and I are around. Well, if you're going to live to be 118, 15, 13, maybe you'll still be around to see it, but the chances of it actually being another real estate crash like we saw in 2007, 8, and then the eventual and very slow, gradual recovery, we won't be around when that happens again. So all of that to say, the market is really stable. No, Arvelin, I'm talking about the interest rates. Yeah, that's pretty stable too. And it is the direct result of what happens in the economy as it fluctuates, as new presidents come in and start changing rules and doing things differently. That's what happens. The economy does this waving thing, and it's natural. It's just what happens. But if you're already invested in real estate, for sure, 100% positive, if you've got some property that you own, it will increase in value. It may take long, it may be very fast, but it will increase in value. The interest rates, they do fluctuate based on what the economy is doing. And if you plan to live in a house, an apartment, because that's property too, you should own it. Because if not, then you're probably paying to live in someone else's house, an investor's house, or apartment, or condo, or townhouse, or whatever that is. Unless you're very comfortable living outdoors, and I'm not, it's a good idea to invest in real estate. Because 100% of the time, the value is going to come and it's going to increase. Because God is not making any more property and the values are not going down. Technology is constantly changing. You got a cell phone, it's changed a lot in the last 5 years. Every year you got to get a new phone, basically. So technology, yeah, it's a place to invest, but it is not 100% foolproof like real estate is. Food, you will definitely receive money back for that if you're investing in a restaurant or a food-based product or something like that. But is it as solid and definite as real estate? And I could go through the list of things that are so important. In fact, I will, just because I can. These are the things that even I in college learned are foolproof. You've got medicine, birth, death. All of those three are definitely going to happen. So if you're owning or doing something in death that you're investing in, it's going to happen. Birth, it's going to happen. Medicine, it's going to happen. Real estate, it's going to happen. These are the places that you want to invest. Here's one I threw in, my own personal observation. Alcohol. Alcohol. People are always drinking when they're celebrating. People are drinking when they're mad. People start drinking when they're happy. They drink when people die. So, yeah, I threw that one in because it's pretty sound too. But real estate, it's always a very solid investment. I'm a realtor. I'm Arvlin Lewis. I'd love to be your realtor. And I'd like to have more conversations like this going forward. So, click subscribe if you haven't already so we can talk about this and share it to someone, one of your friends, your family members who isn't quite sure about whether or not they need to make that investment. Real estate is 100% sound.